Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly. Cape Verde shock another footballing heavyweight. It's not a vintage Uruguay, but still another draw going again after holding Spain is an incredible result. They took the lead with a free kick from a mile away. Uruguay equalised and took the lead just before the break, before more questionable defending allowed Helio Varela to score his first ever goal. Also in that group, Spain went top, defeating Saudi Arabia before the first hydration break. We'll get Sidlow's verdict from Atlanta. In Group G, Egypt beat New Zealand. The Kiwis took the lead before Zico equalised and Mo Salah finally did something. The Kiwis furious not to get a free kick in the build-up of that one before Trezeguet made the point certain. Egypt top after Iran held a disappointing Belgium to a goalless draw. We'll do Japan's excellent win over the hapless Tunisians. There's a musical correction, some reaction to the LA Diaries, your questions, and that's today's Guardian Football Weekly. On the panel today, why are you looking so stern, Barry Glendenning?
Hello, Max.
Hello. Also in LA, Jeff Rueter. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Max.
And joining us for a 10-day stretch of the Racing Post, Mark Langdon. This is exciting, Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hi, Max.
Nice to have you. The first thing you said in the WhatsApp group is no salad for me, but we'll get to that. Let's start then in Group H that looks like this. Spain are top on 4 points. Uruguay second with 2. Cape Verde have 2 as well. Saudi Arabia with 1. And we'll start with that draw in Miami between Uruguay and Cape Verde, 2-2. 2 games, 2 draws against Spain and Uruguay, which, Mark, is an extraordinary achievement.
Absolutely, and I think the World Cup needs results like that. I think you spoke about it already on the show over the last few days, but there was a lot of criticism of the 48 teams, and it will have been because teams like Cape Verde, should they be in the tournament, and they've delivered 2 of the results of the tournament so far. Against Spain, we saw a very different performance where they were, it was just basically 11 people behind the ball and goalkeeper keeping out all of the shots. In this game against Uruguay, they actually played some football, and we saw that there's some talent sort of going forward as well. And actually, towards the end of the game, they might have lost it, but they also might have won it. Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, that free kick, Barry, from Kevin Pina. I mean, the wall is questionable. I give you that.
Do you think?
If you could even call it a wall.
I'm not even sure they mixed their mortar before they assembled it.
Yeah, probably right. I couldn't believe it had gone in, but what a moment.
Yeah, an incredible goal. I think it was 32 yards out. And it wasn't so much a defensive wall as an elevator, doors opening to create this gap that Pina shot through. I shudder to think what Marcelo Bielsa had to say about that in his half-time pep talk, but he had plenty of other things to keep him occupied as well. But yeah, that was a brilliant goal, but a bit lucky because what were they doing, the 2 defenders?
Journalist Ali Howard talking about Kevin Pina, who obviously I'd not heard of before he took that free kick, saying he thought any hopes of a football career were over when his family moved from Santiago Island in Cabo Verde to Brockton, Massachusetts as a 16-year-old. A chance encounter with a guy called Carlos Calo Moraes, who played for Cape Verde years before, to bring him back to the islands to have a go at being a professional footballer. 11 years later, he scored his country's first goal at the World Cup, which is a lovely, so many lovely stories in this side. And then you've got to give them so much credit, Jeff, because that 2-1, once Uruguay score right on half-time, you think, okay, that's done. Their journey is over type thing. And so to come back again takes great fortitude.
And especially, like Mark said, when their first approach had been, all right, let's park it from the opening whistle and let's be able to keep this thing 0-0, to be able to have that sort of initiative to go forward. And it's incredible technique on the equalizer as well. Kneeling it past Muslera to be able to get him unaware and then striking it before it hit the ground, or especially before, any Uruguayan could kind of obstruct him. Look, you already alluded to it. It's not a vintage Uruguay. They're certainly struggling up top. Luis Suarez, watching on from the suite, offered his services a bit late in the cycle to be able to be part of the squad. And
isn't it weird seeing him there looking like quite a nice guy?
the brand reconciliation has begun in earnest. I really think it has. But I think that they really did miss him. And when you looked at the bench, it was Darwin Nunez coming off the bench and terrible match fitness right now. Rodrigo Aguirre has been in very poor form in Mexico. I think only 9 goals in his last 47 games. So maybe it's the issues up top. Maybe it's that Bielsa has to sit on a FIFA-sponsored cooler, which that's probably some bad juju there too. But yeah, tough one for Uruguay.
Yeah, I suppose, Mark, it is great technique from Varela to get past Muslera, but Muslera is also there, which is not necessarily where he needs to be.
I was going to jump in there and just say to Jack, come on, the goalkeeping error from Muslera that definitely plays its part. I think it's fair to say in the goal. He's come out 25 yards. If he doesn't do that, there's still a lot of work for Varela to do. As it was, there was less work for him. Even the free kick, like I know you've blamed the wall, but any shot that goes in from 30 yards, I always think the goalkeeper could do slightly better anyway, but he's definitely at fault for the second goal. There's been a lot of negativity about Uruguay coming into the tournament, and they don't look a happy team. It's very. I know Bielsa teams are always chaotic in their very nature, but it just doesn't feel right for them, and they've put themselves in a terrible spot now to qualify, where they definitely need something against Spain in the final group game, maybe even a win.
Whoever finishes second in this group will almost certainly have to play Argentina. So winning the group is
paramount.
Well, I think
does form go out the window if Argentina play Uruguay?
I don't know. I did enjoy the bit Uruguay's second goal where Araujo teed up Canobio with the cushioned header, and he slotted home with precision. But in the build-up to that, Fede Valverde was helping out one of the Cape Verdeans who had gone down with cramp. He was doing the pressy thing, and he just dropped his foot.
It was really
literally left him hanging so he could get involved in the move.
Sort of fair enough. And there was another moment where Uruguay had a goal disallowed, and we were watching it going. I think you said, Mark, that's got to be disallowed for something. We couldn't work out what, but something.
There was a combination of almost an offside, maybe kicking it out of the goalkeeper's hands, and then something else as well. And you just feel like a combination of those means that it does need to be ruled out. It was offside in the end, which actually...
It was very tight, wasn't it?
And it saved the officials what would have been a really tough 50-50 call on whether that goal should have stood. But it was ruled out. It was tight, but it still was offside, and it puts Cape Verde in a great position now to qualify with that point. And I always felt that African teams got a really bad deal out of the kind of previous World Cups, and was it 5 or 6 teams used to qualify, and it just wasn't enough. And even this time around, you've got some established nations, Cameroon, Nigeria, being sort of probably the most two prominent. And it's great to see actually that a number of the African teams have started very well. Morocco, Ivory Coast have surprised me with the way that they played, and I had Cape Verde down as just one of the worst teams in the tournament, and they're clearly not that bad.
No, well, we'll get to Tunisia, which perhaps there's always an exception.
But Mark suggested there that the Uruguayans look like an unhappy camp, but apparently they are an unhappy camp, and a lot of the players do not like Bielsa's sort of dictatorial regime,
and he can't bring in Calvin Phillips.
And he has said like that anyone anyone who has to deal with me suffers, kind of thing. I think the players are not on his side.
Yeah, Voisinho didn't have as good a game as producer Joel said, having a worse game now that his mum's there watching, and he has 15 million Instagram followers. So who knows after this game when he has 30 million, how he'll do against Saudi Arabia. Just one thing, yes, Baz, you mentioned that idea about substitutes celebrating with the players,
yes.
And I think I agree with you roundly, but I think it's okay, isn't it, for when you're an underdog, when you're a minnow, how do you feel about it? Even your heart could melt for the Cape Verde.
No, I'm
players.
afraid it has to be a blanket ban.
Right,
You can't pick and choose.
You have to be consistent. Bielsa did say about hydration breaks, playing 4 halves instead of 2 alters the conception that had been culturally constructed to interpret football. It adds nothing and takes away a lot. When it was divided into 4, no thought was given to the effect it might have on what made football a sport that captivates people, but rather to another type of repercussions that I neither discuss nor analyse before this decision. Football had one characteristic, now it has another. People fall in love with the game because of its characteristics. So he'll be on the sports bar on TalkSport soon with those kind of... I thought that was quite a good joke, but got nothing. Anyway, let's do Spain 4, Saudi Arabia 0. I spoke to Sid Lowe after this, so let's have a listen to that. Sid, I see you walking away from the stadium in Atlanta. I mean, that was a procession, wasn't it?
It was. It was done inside the first quarter, Max. They didn't even have to go off for the first drinks, and Spain were already 3-0 up. It was already done. It was exactly the way I think they would have wanted it, because, of course, the doubts that came from the first game when they drew 0-0. The statistic that best sums it up for me, that I most enjoy, is that Mikel Oyarzabal didn't get a touch inside the first 30 minutes of the first game. This time, inside the first 23, he's got an assist and 2 goals.
Yeah, and it's a great day for him, isn't it? Because a lot of talk about, do they need a centre forward, etc.
Yeah, I think Mikel Oyarzabal is a guy that no one talks about, and in particular, Mikel Oyarzabal doesn't talk about him. He doesn't sell himself. He doesn't make a noise. He doesn't talk about how important he is. He seems to have no ego whatsoever, although I think it's very difficult to be an elite sportsman without some kind of ego. And his record for Spain is phenomenal since he became the first choice. And it really took the departure of Alvaro Morata for him to be first choice. And I did write the stats in the match report. I haven't got them to hand, but I think I'm right in saying that that's 14 goals and 7 assists in his last 13 Spain games now. I think he did need that today, but I think he's a phenomenal player.
Yamal started, obviously. Is it as simple as he starts Spain good?
Yes and no, which is the inevitable answer. I was always going to say that to you, wasn't I? I think what he does is he changes the mood. I think he changes the way the others feel about it, and I think you saw that in the enthusiasm today, and I think you saw that in the response of others. I think it's quite contagious in terms of his attitude, in terms of the approach, and I think also, of course, he draws a load of people in. There's a brilliant interview with him today in El País, and he says basically, I've always got 3 men on me. And he's challenged on this. He said, always 3. Maybe if I'm lucky 2, but never just 1. Never. And I think there's an element of truth in that opens things up. And I think it's not entirely chance that you saw that actually what Spain created came from the other wing today, mostly, not from Lamine. But I think it's partly about people being drawn into him and that being part of it. I don't think he was fit enough to play for very long. I think it was the right decision to take him off at half-time. But yes, he changes, I think, the way that Spain feel about themselves. It changes, by the way, the way it feels in the stadium as well, enormously.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It wasn't the only change, though, was it? What did you make of the other changes?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that I thought were very interesting. I think one of them was the change in structure. So it wasn't just a change in personnel. I think Spain had been leaning towards something like a 4-3-3 in the last game. She had Fabian and Pedri and Rodri in midfield. When Luis de la Fuente, one of the things that he'd done was kind of break with Spain's tradition by playing 4-2-3-1 and having an actual number 10. And I think what happened in the first game, amongst many other things, was that 4-3-3 kind of obliged Pedri to play the most advanced role of the 3 in the middle. So it almost still was 4-2-3-1 with him as the number 10. And although that's where he began his career, it's not where he's played really well for the last couple of years with Barcelona. And I felt that there was something very, very simple, which is that Pedri is better when the game's in front of him. And I think in the first game, the game was behind him. And I think with the game in front of him today, I thought he was much, much better. And I think he controls the tempo. He controls the kind of thought process of the team, I think, when he plays deeper and he's got the game in front of him. I think the introduction of Dani Olmo meant that they had an actual number 10, the kind of player that can see a space when there isn't really any, around the area, can drop those little passes off. And I thought that was really important as well. And the player that people haven't really talked about, who I thought was very, very good today, was Alex Baena, who's actually had a really terrible season. Well, not terrible, that's probably a bit harsh. A not very good season in his first year at Atletico Madrid, but I liked him a lot today.
Yeah. How was the atmosphere there?
I had the Saudi fans below me making quite a lot of noise, and I think the atmosphere from the Spanish fans was they kind of needed this, because there was a bit of tension after the first game. I personally think too much tension. I know the players think this, and Luis de la Fuente had said, the players were the phrase he used was picado, which kind of means stung. They were stung, they were angered by the criticism. I was thinking, well, the criticism wasn't that bad, really, but if it helps to fuel you, if it helps to make you angry, give you, a chance to kick against the pricks, then it works out quite nicely in the end.
Happy day, Sid. Have a lovely day. Thanks for coming on. What's for you now? What do you do?
From here, I'm now going to drive back to Chattanooga, where Spain's training base is.
Right, okay. Well, have a nice drive. Thanks, mate.
Cheerio.
Sid Lowe there, on his way back to Chattanooga. You have some criticism for me, Barry, on the end of that interview?
Well, I just thought it was a gross dereliction of duty on your part not to ask Sid if he was going home on the Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Yes.
The train made famous by Glenn Miller and his orchestra back in the 1940s.
Yes. Well, I do apologise.
It's a very catchy number.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree.
Sax and trumpet heavy, Max.
I knew he was driving, so I knew he wasn't, unless the Chattanooga Choo Choo has a bit like the you can drive on the Channel Tunnel.
Yeah,
Does it have that?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe Jeff knows. Do you have any other thoughts on this game? I mean, Sid's covered it quite well. But
Yeah.
anything you could add?
Well, I think that the Saudi Arabian performance, I thought, really deserved the scoreline, right? And it's just interesting because we're now a few years into the Pro League experiment, right? And we're very used to seeing that sort of level of investment for players leaving Europe, especially. And I think about all of the blather about the Club World Cup and the idea that this would help a lot more domestic leagues, because then suddenly you're giving these prize pools where they're reinvesting across the league in theory. And you see it with Egypt, for example, picking up a lot of players, Al Ali certainly over the last 2 years. And with Saudi Arabia, there just wasn't a lot of domestic talent who really looked like they were challenging, right? And in the league, they're not the headliners when you think of Al Hilal's run that they made last summer at that Club World Cup. And then you look at this game, every loose ball was Spain's. Every, possible switch off with the off-ball movement, they didn't know how to pick it up, and there weren't really a lot of players who seemed to know how to grab a game and try to wrestle it back into their control. It just looked like they were really compliant and wanted Spain to be able to have their sort of bounce back after their opener. It's very strange.
And yet, Mark, they can still get through. They have to beat Cape Verde, which I suppose if you'd said that to them at the start, they'd have probably taken it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a last 32 tie before the last 32 for Saudi Arabia. It's must-win match for them. I thought they were lucky against Uruguay to get the draw, and they completely battered really in this game. I mean, Spain declared at 4, so I'd be surprised if they won the game.
And how do you see Spain-Uruguay?
Well, on the evidence of what I've seen of Uruguay so far, I think Spain will beat them, but you don't know, do you? Spain will want to top the group. They'll want to win the group, but they're a much better team than Uruguay. This Uruguay team is not. It's not Uruguay of yore. They're not even dirty. They're disappointingly disciplined and meek. And
yeah, I had a look at that starting lineup, and actually there weren't that many familiar faces in that starting lineup. I don't know if that's a reflection on me, but apart from sort of Ugarte and Bentancur and a couple of others.
The strikers, isn't it? When they had Cavani and Suarez, you had two elite sort of forwards that were playing at the very top of European football, and now they haven't. And Darwin Núñez can't get in the team. He can't get in his club team either, and just looks completely short of confidence and fitness. And so you're just lacking the midfield. Ugarte, Bentancur, Valverde should still be able to sort of have got Uruguay more points than they've got so far, but just at the top end of the pitch, they don't really feel like they can hurt you anymore.
How we miss the movement of Cavani. Right, that'll do for part 1. Part 2, we'll do Group G. Welcome to part 2 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So we just watched New Zealand 1, Egypt 3. Egypt's first World Cup win at the 9th attempt after 92 years. Which has surprised me as a statistic, Jeff. How did you feel this game went?
They built into the game, right? And they looked a little bit rattled by that first goal by New Zealand. I mean, who needs to build a meat wall when every man in the wall is meat himself?
Yeah.
It's something that I almost wonder why New Zealand doesn't lean into more. They have players who can do a long throw, like Michael Boxall, who does this in MLS with Minnesota United all the time with precision. And they were so late to be able to try to throw in and create some more of those chances, and they gave Egypt time to get back into the game, find their way through, especially Mo Salah, as they have been, as they did against Belgium as well, try to get it immediately up to that right channel and then cut inwards, and either he takes a shot or tries to pass it to Marmoush and they get it intercepted, but certainly fought a lot better in this game, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, look, New Zealand started so well, Baz. The goal is great, and at half-time you sort of thought Egypt hadn't really arrived yet in this game, and I thought New Zealand were going to win.
Yeah, they were the better team in the first half. Finn Sermon's header was brilliant at that corner. He was completely unmarked, there was no one near him. And about a yard away from him, 2 Egyptians jumped together as if they were marking each other. So that was a bit of a gift, but it still took scoring from Sermon. And it just looked at half-time as if Egypt were kind of hoping Marmoush and Mo Salah would dig them out of a hole, and Salah certainly helped dig them out of the hole. He got a goal. Their coach made some changes at half-time, not in personnel but just tactics. Yeah, they ended the game on top, deserved winners, but it did look ropey for them for a while.
Yeah, there was New Zealand had one chance at 1-0, didn't they, which was well saved, and maybe that changes things But we were looking at this group going, Egypt, they were the pot 2 team, and by the end they showed that.
They did. I'm just relieved I was on sort of US time to watch it because having tried to stay up for all of these games in the UK, the last one of the 4 has always been the most difficult, and New Zealand versus Egypt wouldn't have sold it, to stay up all night. So it was nice to eat that with dinner cooked by producer Joel.
Yeah,
but
good roast chicken
excellent
and potatoes. It was good, yeah.
It was, but yeah. So I think it's probably important to just give for the UK viewers. I don't think many would have watched it. It really was a game of 2 halves, wasn't it? Because New Zealand, I thought, were the better team in the first half, used their physicality, but by the end, Egypt definitely deserved to win, and by a comfortable margin. And Salah's goal was important for him because he hasn't been playing well for Liverpool, and even he was criticised for his performance in that opening game as well. Looked a long way off it. He wasn't amazing in this game either, but he did produce one moment of brilliance that sort of really turned the game in putting Egypt 2-1 up. Great team move, and I just felt Egypt played much quicker in the second half. It was just too pedestrian early on. It made it easy for New Zealand to stay in their shape, but Egypt moved them about much more in the second half.
For the Salah goal, Barry, New Zealand were furious about one of their players being fouled at the top end of the pitch and maybe being trodden on as well and being injured a bit. And I don't know if it was a foul or not, but as a wider point, refs seem to be they're letting a lot go. Like, it does seem the bar is very high for turning everything around, and you can sort of get away with kicking people.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I think the Uzbekistani ref, he was letting an awful lot go.
Whoever did the Scotland game, he let a lot go as well. So
yeah, but I don't mind it. I'm all for referees letting things go.
Yeah, would you go with that, Jeff? It seems like a lot of players are just rolling on the floor and the refs are just ignoring them.
So long as it's consistent, right? And maybe part of it is a lot of players are now more used to VAR, and so they understand, like, okay, if I fall like this, if I fall at this timeline, it's more likely to be called off, right? And so I think that there's almost a counter savviness necessary to say, like, I don't buy that, or I don't think that was enough to justify making a call in a game of this magnitude.
And Trezeguet made it 3-1, and he did play for Aston Villa. A lot of us, I know him from somewhere, but I can't remember where. Also in this group, Belgium 0, Iran 0. Mark and Jeff both at this game, so we just couldn't be more across it. What did you make of it, Mark? I like the fact that you've been here for 5 minutes and you went to a game. It hadn't even crossed me and Barry's mind we could go to a football match here.
Yeah, so I felt like it was better than a 0-0 draw between Belgium and Iran. Doesn't sound like it would be that good. And maybe it's because you're in the stadium and just feeling the vibes more by being in the stadium. But Belgium missed enough chances to have won the game. Iran goalkeeper played very well. I did think that Lukaku was massively off the pace. A lot of discussion around Cristiano Ronaldo and whether he should be leading the line for Portugal. I think Lukaku gave and this is not a compliment, a Cristiano Ronaldo sort of like performance, really. Very static.
Just imagine there was a time when that was a good thing.
Oh, there would have been. And Lukaku has definitely had spells where he's looked like one of the best strikers in Europe, but he's just well off the pace, and
Well, he's barely played all season, hasn't he? So
he's had fitness issues, and like he wasn't controlling the ball, he wasn't getting shots away, and Belgium to me just looked like a really poorly coached team, where if Kevin De Bruyne in the first game it was let's give the ball to Doku, cross our fingers and hope he does the best. In this one, it was let's hope De Bruyne can do it, but there was no sort of patterns of play to what they were trying to do, and they still created enough chances to win the game, but this looks a very bad group, I would say.
Yeah, and actually, you talk about Lukaku, Jeff. We have seen actually Chris Wood in that first half showed how to be a great target man. Brobby did it the other night,
of course.
And the key is it feels so Sunday League, but make it stick. It's got to stick.
It has to. And there was a point about 6 minutes in, I think, that Lukaku had trudged back to defend a corner kick and was trying to run back. And you could just see him head to the heavens, looking up, trying to be like, oh, this is so far. And you're 6 minutes in, right? I remember yesterday as Matchday -1, Rudy Garcia had said that Lukaku would be a super sub. And I kind of wonder if he got lost in his own smokescreen there. And suddenly was like, hey, wait, that would actually be quite clever if I started him. And I just think it really did set them back. It should also be said that Alireza Bierenvand had an excellent game in goal, right? And some tremendous saves. And he's usually more known for his long distribution with his arm, right? And he's one of those who can throw it into the attacking third without a bounce. But really came up and was necessary for him to come up again in a World Cup of goalkeepers.
My Uber driver on the way home was he's half Iranian. He was telling me, and he said we played with one player, and that was the goalkeeper, which I thought was a tiny bit harsh, given that the Belgium are the top seeds in this group, but the goalkeeper definitely played well.
He made one astonishing save from Maxime de Cooper, and I think he made 3 saves from de Cooper and all, but Courtois had to make 3 saves, I think, a couple of them good. So Iran weren't totally useless.
No, and actually then they're sending off, right? We've all done a missed kick like that, Nathan and Goy. I can't work out if actually taking him down was the right thing or the wrong thing in hindsight, because it didn't really look like Belgium were going to score, and so a point isn't a disaster for them. And maybe he catches. Taremi was through, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's probably late enough in the game that you take the red. If it's kind of early in the second half, maybe you let him score. He half righted a wrong.
Half righted a wrong.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, but.
Yeah, it was savvy placement too, because he did it as soon as the ball was taken over, and so it's still the edge of the attacking third. There's no space. I think that the ensuing free kick ended up hitting a Belgian. It didn't even get to the mixer. So.
I mean, you're really crediting his speed of thought there. I think he just went, oh shit,
panic stations.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
I think so.
It should also. I can't believe we haven't gotten to. Mehdi Taremi had a goal called offside by his ass.
Yes.
That was lovely.
Well, was that the one where he was close to the wall as well?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is. I don't know how I feel about that law. It seems. I understand it's just don't interfere with the wall, but
right.
Felt like that's harsh if it's disallowed for that.
We
reason.
still got the graphic. That's all I'm saying. We still got the one where he's just kind of bumping it back, and it's just like
they watched the Weghorst free kick from 4 years ago. It's very similar to
identical, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And the stadium, the noise actually when that goal went in, there was a lot of Iranian fans in the stadium. Felt like a home game for them, even though it was ruled out. That was still a really sort of nice moment to hear that noise when they thought they'd taken the lead.
Yeah, and you were there as a fan. You bought a ticket. What was the sort of match day experience? Was it worth it?
Are we allowed to ask how much you paid for your ticket?
It was it $400? Yes.
You did get a disallowed goal.
Got a disallowed goal, a red card.
Got a red card. Okay.
Some good saves.
Some good saves, and also got to see SoFi Stadium, which is the world's most expensive stadium, which maybe that's on its own isn't worth $400, but anyone that's been to Disney World or Disneyland will kind of know the feeling of just getting your credit card out every 2 minutes and thinking, oh my god, how much, but you just keep tapping. So I didn't buy a can of lager for $20. I left that alone. I did buy I bought a Coke Zero, which initially flashed up as €32, which did put my heart in my mouth slightly. But she put on a margarita with the and so she said, "Oh no, way too expensive." She went, "That's better." And then when I looked, it was still $8 something. But no, it
don't
was.
let Max near it.
Oh no, don't worry. I kept the bottle.
You can't have that going flat.
Very tight. I would say though, I felt the way that they run the organisation of getting fans out of the stadium, because there's been a lot of criticism in other sort of cities around the cost of that. I didn't think there was anything that would cost $1.75 in this part of the world, but it was $1.75 for a direct bus into a lot of sort of central locations around Los Angeles, and that got people out of the stadium very quickly. So that was a plus, and overall enjoyed the FIFA fan experience.
Okay. So now we've got New Zealand, Belgium, and Egypt, Iran. Egypt top on 4, Iran and Belgium have 2, New Zealand have 1. So they can all get through, Jeff, which is what we want.
Maybe they should. Yeah, maybe let's take one of the second place finishers in a group that we disagree with, and let's just send all 4 of them through.
There's also the off the pitch shenanigans that Iran are having to deal with as well. Like only being allowed into LA 24 hours before the game. The Iranian Football Federation accused Marquane Mullen, the US Secretary of Homeland Security, of spreading fake news about one of its members being prevented from boarding their plane to LA because of his direct ties, inverted commas, to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So he's saying they're just the Director of Homeland Security is saying this to try and smear Iran or smear the football team.
And the inside the stadium, the national anthem was booed very loudly by the Iranian supporters inside.
Right. And it is interesting because there are Iranian fans in there who are supporting the Iranian team and not the state, and there are some who are supporting neither. That's sort of an interesting mix, that especially you have in Los Angeles, right, with so many Iranians living here. All right, that'll do for part 2. Part 3, we'll begin with Japan's win over Tunisia. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So the late game that happened after we recorded was Japan's 4-0 win over Tunisia. So that means they're joint top, well, they're second behind the Netherlands on 4 points. Sweden have 3, Tunisia have none and are out. Barry, I asked you if you had a minute on this game. You very confidently said, I've got 5 if you want them. Start the clock.
Bing. Well, this is another one of those games that was on at stupid o'clock in the UK, so I imagine only real diehards stayed up to watch it. And it was a very good game. Mark and I watched it in a local hostelry. It's the 1,000th World Cup game ever,
right?
Or World Cup finals game ever played. Obviously, you'd Hervé Renard coming in to manage Tunisia after Fabrice Lamouchi was sacked on the back of their first defeat. I'd imagine Herb is probably thinking about his life choices or career choices. You could already see he looked completely fed up, even by half time in his first game in
He
charge.
wouldn't have even known the players' names, would he really? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Tunisian captain, I think, did an interview after this game, just hauling the Tunisian FA over the coals, saying they're too reactive to bad results, and they have one bad result, and they try and just destroy everything and rebuild. So he seemed at the end of his tether. I mean, Tunisia were awful, and they went through qualifying, I think, unbeaten without conceding any goals. They've now conceded 9 in their opening 2 games in this tournament. And Japan obviously can only beat what's in front of them, but they beat them in fine style. They cut through Tunisia like a samurai sword through the autumn wind, Max.
Right.
They were denied a penalty, I think, in the opening minute. Stonewall penalty. VAR didn't seem to get involved, or they didn't see any wrong with it. Then they went ahead through a goal scored by Daichi Kamada from Crystal Palace. Don't think he knew much about it, but it was like a low cross that kind of hit him and went in. Then they had a good shot saved by the Tunisian keeper and doubled their lead just before half time. And that was it. The game was over as a contest, really, at that stage. But they did go on to run out 4-0 winners and looked very impressive. And this without 3 of their best known, if not best players, in Minamino, Choma and Endo. So I would fear Japan.
Yeah, actually, the third goal, Jeff, was beautiful, wasn't it?
There was just a certain point where it looked like Japan was like, we can just kind of do some schoolyard stuff around here and just pass circles around them and do some tap-ins. And, to your point, Barry, about all the players missing, I thought that Ueda's movement up front was just perfect for it. And you had some gilded chances given to him, granted. But at the same point, it is really scary to see when you see just like once this team hits its stride, and that's always been the issue when you get to like the round of 16 is, right, okay, is Japan going to be able to put it together? And granted, Tunisia is not a round of 16 opponent necessarily, but it certainly looks like they're well rehearsed to be able to take on a challenge like that.
In the UK after the first game, Ange Postecoglou was quite critical of Japan and said that they were playing
They're not attacking enough.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, he felt like they should flood the forward line and get more players forward. But he was saying that they need to believe in themselves more and that they've got the talent to take the game to a team like Netherlands. And we saw more of that. It was against lower opposition, but interesting to see with Ueda like how good he is, because we always question the goals scored in the Eredivisie. Like where does that level put you? Sometimes it can be not very far, as we've seen with
Vincent Janssen.
Yeah, what's
Fonso Alves,
exchange?
maybe.
I mean, Josie Altidore too.
Yeah, but that you also get Luis Suarez that comes out there, or a Van Persie. So it's not like they're always terrible, but it's difficult to know. But this was a step in the right direction for him as well.
I did gloss over their second 2 goals. They were really good goals.
And you had minutes to spare.
I did have.
5,
Well, look, I've just seen so many goals. I can't remember them.
He needed a hydration break.
Yeah, that's true.
Ayesa Ueda's second one, the header, that was just a brilliant looping header that beat 2 defenders and the goalkeeper.
It went incredibly slowly, didn't it? There's nothing they could do, just watching it go in. Tomorrow then, Argentina, Austria, France, Iraq, Norway, Senegal and Jordan, Algeria. I mean, this round of fixtures, Mark, was good fun last time. Messi, Mbappe, Haaland all had good games. You imagine they'd all want to cash in again.
Yeah, you would. I think it would be interested to see Norway against Senegal, probably of all of those games, because Norway, they didn't beat much in that first game against Iraq, and I felt Senegal were unlucky against France. They were the better team in the first half of that game, and then ran into an inspired Elise, and Mbappe sort of turned up for the last half an hour, and the game got away for them. But I'd always felt, even like before the tournament, actually Senegal were at least the equals of Norway, and so it'd be interesting to see kind of where the two teams are at in that group behind France.
Messi is one goal away from the all-time goal-scoring record at World Cups. An argument he shouldn't be on the pitch because, and we missed this, and I don't know if they showed a replay of it.
I didn't see it at the time. I only saw it after we'd recorded the pod on the first day, but this was his rake down the calf. Yeah, it looked nasty.
It did look naughty, didn't it? And no retrospective, I suppose, that VAR didn't get involved. Asa Mandy was the player that
it was
fouled.
And it was after like 30 minutes, so if he'd walked at that stage, I think Argentina were only 1-0 up at that point. But yeah, it was naughty, very naughty.
Bad boy, Lionel.
I definitely remember it wasn't discussed at half time in the coverage I watched, so I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest FIFA might not have shown a replay of it for what reasons that I can't fathom.
Perhaps they were cutting to Gianni in the crowd because we need to see more of that. How is he getting to all these games anyway? Michael says, given that he was first to get a yellow card after a case of mistaken identity and the first to be sent off for covering his mouth, I think Miguel Almiron is the Forrest Gump of the World Cup. He's somehow finding himself at the centre of sport-changing moments. Is it too bad the Trump administration has deployed troops to guard the reflecting pool in D.C. because he could be using his suspension to reunite with his true love the way Forrest and Jenny did? Just a thought. Love the podcast. Hope you're enjoying the US. Michael, thank you, Michael. A bit of music pedantry by mistake by you.
Me?
Barry, yes.
All
Jimmy
right.
Somerville does not have that Beat Boy feeling. Hit That Perfect Beat was a song Bronski beat recorded after Jimmy Somerville had left the band. His replacement, John Foster, on Hit the Perfect Beat. You stand corrected.
I do.
Yes. Would you like to apologise to the musos?
No.
No. The LA Diaries have been entertaining the world on Instagram. One of today's was me hovering over you making an omelette. I was being quite annoying. I understand that. Most of the time, I think, I haven't been. But there I was.
I'll be the judge of that.
Barca Jim says, if Barry murders you, I'm going to be a character witness for him and argue that you brought this on yourself. Pete says, I think Barry could become a gun owner soon. Colm says, violence can never be excused, but not a court in the land will convict Barry for what he ends up doing to Max after the jury have been shown these diaries. And Pre says, Max, you live in Melbourne. How are you so pale and sweaty? Thank you, Pre. Appreciate that. Anyway, the diaries continue. Our work continues. We did a live TikTok yesterday, didn't we? Did we discuss that yesterday?
Yes, we did.
Okay, right. It's hard to remember. With so many, why can't there just be one place for content and one only? It would make life easier.
I've done my first live TikTok. I still don't even know what a live TikTok is.
I'm working on the Selling Sunset. If we can get her to collaborate, she's got 4 million followers.
Has she?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I arrived at the apartment just before 9 p.m. First person I saw, not Barry, it was the second person I saw in the pub, but the first person was Christine Quinn as well. She's
there we go.
Yeah,
she's everywhere.
She is absolutely everywhere.
And then we noted that Dion Dublin is in LA, and he could get a job on Selling Sunset. Right? He has the property experience. That's the collaboration we need to bring together.
I'm not sure Christine sells many 2 up, 2 downs in Wolverhampton.
Could be a job swap
for like
though.
15 grand.
The commission on that.
To do her upper, Christine.
It's a Wednesday night in Stoke, really.
Exactly. Can Christine do it? Exactly. On a cold Tuesday. Well, look, we'll ask her when we next see her in the lift with her Doberman Max.
Have you noticed her Doberman Max has a jacket he wears?
Oh, really?
And it says he's a service dog.
Oh, right.
So I don't know what service he's
Does
in.
that mean he's been to war or he's a postman? I don't know.
I don't. Could be both, either.
We'll have to. Do we have to thank him for his service?
Yeah.
Okay. Next time we see Max.
Well, I mean, he is
Doberman-
quite a fearsome-looking
He is,
dog,
he's
but
terrified.
he's very friendly.
He is friendly, but I tried to give him a peanut M&M, and that was frowned upon.
Yeah, but
by-
you shouldn't give dogs
I didn't
chocolate,
know
Max.
that. I was just trying to befriend. This was before I even knew what sort of level of celebrity
yeah.
we were talking to.
We're not in LA 2 weeks, and you've already killed a top celebrity's dog by giving it chocolate.
Anyway, there's not a lot of chocolate on a peanut M&M, is there?
You shouldn't give dogs chocolate.
I understand that.
Right.
It's just you can
Any
add
chocolate.
it to a list.
Celebrity dog or otherwise.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was another dog in the lift that had 4 little slippers on,
Oh.
but one had fallen off. And so the man said, he's lost a slipper. So if you are,
Cinderella dog.
yeah, if you are in West Hollywood, and you find a little slipper for, it was a tiny dog. It was one of those dogs that looks.
There are
like
a lot of stupid dogs in LA.
they really are, aren't they? Anyway, as I said 5 minutes ago, that will do for today. Thanks everybody. Thanks Baz.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Max.
And welcome. Football Weekly is produced by Rory Simon and Matt Bentley-Viney. Our executive producer is Joel Grove, and we'll be back tomorrow.